Hey everyone, my name is Chris. Welcome back to the channel. It's been a while, but I'm finally ready to show off my new snake acquisitions, the Pearl Island Boa. So this is Medusa. She's a 2-year-old female Pearl Island Boa that I recently acquired. The scientific name for this species or subspecies would be BOA imperator SABOGAE. At one point it was boa constrictor SABOGAE, and then even before that they were once thought to be under Epicurides, so Epicurides SABOGAE, but modern times just BOA imperator SABOGAE, or you could just say SABOGAE for simplicity. This is one of the many boa constrictor subspecies or boa imperator subspecies that you can find in the US. And out of all of them, in my opinion, this is probably the most unique subspecies. I could even also say locality, mainly because they just have a very unique body plan that's different from the other boas. For example, she's very elongated and built for the trees, so very similar to like a carpet python in that sense. Carpet pythons can be more semi-arboreal, but I digress. They also have a unique color palette to them. With Medusa in particular, she has a very brownish gold look to her, and then lighter on the side with some nice markings and very reduced saddles. These saddles that she has in particular, they're not that reduced. This animal is selected for more pattern essentially, but other SABOGAEs you're gonna see online, they're gonna be very reduced saddles, reduced markings, nearly patternless. And then also, if I could show you, she as I said earlier, SABOGAEs like to move around a lot, so it's gonna be hard, but I'll do my best. As you see there, really bold eyes and really flared nostrils, hence why I named her Medusa. Just very intimidating, menacing look to her, very insidious in a way. But with that said, she's the opposite of that in terms of personality. She's super chill to handle. She just likes to move around a lot, but I think that's really awesome. She hasn't tried striking at me, not so aggressive at all, but she's such a super cool animal for sure. So more on the natural history of the Pearl Island Boas. As the name suggests, they're from the Pearl Islands, which is an archipelago off the coast of Panama. Specifically, the Pearl Island Boas are mainly from the island of SABOGAE, hence the Latin name SABOGAE. There are animals out there that are claimed to be from the island of Taboga, but for this conversation, let's just assume that they're from the island of SABOGAE. So on this island or chain of islands, food is just very scarce in general. They only find abundance of food once or twice a year through migratory birds, hence why they have this body plan, very elongated, built for the trees. And when it comes to their size, the general consensus is that adults will get 4 to 6 feet. You will see some variation and exceptions. Obviously, I've heard of animals that are 7 feet, but generally 4 to 6 feet is a good rule of thumb for these animals, for Pearl Island Boas. Medusa in particular, she's a 2-year-old and she's around 3.5 feet. But yeah, not a very big snake, something compared to like a Brettles python or a retic or a berm, or even any of the Colombian boa constrictors. These usually will stay smaller compared to those. So I got Medusa off of Morph Market essentially. There was a breeder near me that was looking to rehome this animal, Colin Smith. And then I contacted Colin, made sure everything was legit, had questions about the animal, contacted the breeder that produced this animal, Brandon Dowell of Galactic Boas out in Texas. I asked him about can I see the pics of the parents, essentially where are these animals from. So essentially Brandon's animals were produced by Castle Doyer from Reptilandia, and then those animals were exported to the United States and then acquired by Joe Sutalski, which rehomed it to Brandon, and then Brandon bred those animals together and Medusa was born. And Colin chose this animal in particular for more pattern, hence why she has a lot of saddles and not so much reduction of those saddles essentially. But Medusa wasn't the only Pearl Island boa that I got. Let me show you the second one I got. Okay, so this is Percy. Percy is a 6-month-old Pearl Island boa, and as you can see, Percy is super different from Medusa. They just have this really big color change as they get older. So as babies, they have this really pale coloration to them, and then these really nice orange saddles. I love the palette on the babies, but then I love the patterns that the adults can have, specifically the patternless animals. As you can see, Percy has super reduced saddles, and I'm going to assume that when he gets older, it's going to be nearly gone, essentially. And same thing with Percy, he's super chill, does not try striking at me. Loves to move around like Pearl Islands do though. But that is not a con for me. This animal was produced by Brian's Boas. You might know him, he's on YouTube, does a lot of locality content, really knowledgeable, super nice guy. He's basically somewhat local to me, so I just asked if we could just meet up instead of paying for shipping, and I get to ask him some questions, you know, about the animal and just talk to him about, you know, locality boas. And just like Medusa, Percy is very elongated, really flat, long head with those very bold eyes and flared nostrils. Actually really cool nose markings too, now that I see it. And I essentially named this animal Percy just to compliment with Medusa. So basically it's just a nod to Perseus, who slayed Medusa in Greek mythology, and it's also a nod to the Percy Jackson series, which as a kid growing up I liked to read and watch the movies. So there's that. And then essentially my plans for Percy and Medusa is to hopefully one day basically breed them together to produce more Pearl Island boas. I just think that Pearl Island boas are super cool. Probably the best or the coolest subspecies in my opinion in the boa constrictor complex. And not only that, you see a lot in the reptile hobby of species that used to be here and now they're just gone because people lost interest in them. I just don't want that to happen with the Pearl Island boas. I think they're just way too cool to give up. They're pretty much semi-arboreal. The babies look awesome. You know, you got that really palish brown coloration to them with orange saddles essentially, and then the adults are like almost completely patternless. They're just really cool animals. They don't get too big either. You know, as I said earlier, 4 to 6 feet, that's pretty manageable for a single person, you know. Now, no one knows everything about anything. I don't know everything about the Pearl Island boas. I wish I did, but I'm going to learn along the way, and I hope that you guys can join me on this adventure, and hopefully learn a thing or two with me about these Pearl Island boas, because they're just super cool, and I would just hate for these guys to like basically be gone in the hobby in the US. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Yeah, I got nothing else to say. I could stare at this animal the whole day, honestly. I guess I'll just see you next time.